Hello, and welcome to my universe. So, my brain is absolutely cooked today. I had to kind of go overtime to finish my my second weekly drawing for the short today. I will be uploading that tonight. So not for a while, but it'll be there. I got it done, and I'm not sure how, but I did it. Felt good, but now my brain is like super dead. But I was like, you know, I wanna go ahead and stream anyway. It's all good. So here we are, and rather than going in and getting into the balcony like I want to do, well, I decided I want to change the lace patterns on the curtains. Basically, the drawing that I was working on off stream was also of Leia Memoria here, and I put in some motifs on it that I really liked, and I was like, you know, I should have done that here instead of the diamonds. So I'm gonna do it. I'm actually gonna start here, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change these diamonds into teardrop shapes, and the squares into stars. And that's it. That's all that's gonna happen. There's a lot of them, so it's gonna take a second, but it's okay. It'll be, I don't know, what's the word? More thematic? It'll look nicer. I don't know, man, but I want to do it. This is why I can never finish drawings in a timely fashion. So I can't tell if this is going to be a stream where I'm more quiet than usual, or if I am just all over the place constantly, because like I said, my brain is fried. I got a little bit overly ambitious with what I wanted to do with off-stream drawing, and I did manage to finish it last night. I'm very pleased with myself, but it was at the cost of... how many hours did I draw yesterday? Probably a good 12. Or something ridiculous like that. Basically, it was a lot. I stayed up a little bit late. Not a lot, only like 30 minutes late, but that's enough. So I slept in a little this morning, and I was hoping to be able to go in and write. Saturday is one of my writing days, and brain could not do it. But because I took a break before stream, I'm not feeling too terrible. I think I kind of dozed off my chair a little bit, actually. So sometimes the brain just says no, and I'm a little bit sad about it, but considering what I did yesterday, I was like, okay, you can have a little break. We can miss one writing day. I will allow it this once, brain. I could just tell nothing was going to happen. I could tell the difference between brain says no and brain is just whining and being a whiny little baby that needs to be put in its place. So, yeah, this time it was just brain says no. It happens sometimes, and I think it's prone to happening in any... I guess anyone that does a lot of creative stuff regularly. Sometimes brain just says no. So I just flopped for a little bit. It felt okay, I guess. I don't like having to flop. But I don't really regret pushing myself to finish that picture. And more importantly, I was successful in doing so. I did finish it. But, you know, even if I wasn't, and I did have to work on it a little bit this morning instead of flopping like I did, I think I still would have been glad that I did. When it comes to trying really hard to do the things that I want to do, the outcome, I can't say that it doesn't matter, but for me, it matters less than just giving it everything I've got. And I can always tell when I'm just like, oh yes, I'm trying my best, doing all the things I can, and this is not actually true. And I'm actually kind of slacking off, and I could absolutely do a little bit more. But no, that time, I gave it everything I got, so. I actually greatly like doing that. It can be really hard to push through and just do your absolute best when you're not convinced that the outcome will really matter at all. At this point, I know that just producing more stuff will hopefully get more eyes on me at some point. I am doing a lot of it specifically for, you know, channel growth and things like that, but a large part of me is not entirely convinced that it'll help that much. I don't know. It's hard, but, you know, I have to do it anyway. I do. Because if I don't, I'll just have this nagging feeling in the back of my mind of, you know, if I had just tried a little bit harder, maybe it would have worked. So, I am going to do everything I can, everything in my power. And that's just how I kind of roll with things. I mentioned last time that I am really, really good at grinding because I know how to just put my brain in the corner and not worry about it. That there are pros and cons to this. This is one of the pros, in that I can kind of make myself do what I have to do if I think that there is potential for something good on the other side. It doesn't have to be guaranteed. But it is something I can do, and frankly, I do enjoy the process of just trying. And for this one specifically, the process of trying here is easier than it is in a lot of other things because I at least really, really like the drawing part. It's pretty great. That's why you see the 2 weekly shorts that I want to post are drawings and not just me, you know, posting clips or ranting into a microphone or something. It's the stuff that's actually kind of meaningful to me, so that makes it easier. It really does. And I do think that my art skills are already growing a little bit because of it. I can kind of feel it. So I do look forward to sharing this illustration with you, but I will probably not go as hard on this one or on future ones as I did on this one. Maybe in the future. Maybe in the future I can go this hard again. That would be pretty great. But I need it to be sustainable to something that I can actually post twice a week, because otherwise I'm gonna die. Or worse, I won't write my comic. Yes, not writing the comic, way worse than dying, absolutely. No question. God, can you imagine preferring to live over being able to do all the things that you want to do? Terrible. Like, maybe you gotta do it sometimes, but... can't be me. So, yeah, I'm glad that I went ahead and did it, regardless of how it does. It's, you know, Leia Memoria, so with Variance being as small as it is, I figure I'll probably get the 100 or so views that I average. And that'll be that. Get, maybe the somewhere between 50 and 80 likes on Twitter if she happens to like it enough to repost it. Smaller corpos generally pretty good about that, so I'm pretty sure that'll happen. But even if it doesn't, even if I only get 10, like, I think that one winter painting I did of Pippa, she happened to be out of town that time, and I suspect she was not checking Twitter very often, so it did not get reposted. I think it got like 5. But you know what? I'm still glad I painted it. I think it's really nice. Even if she never sees it. I actually had to work through a lot of emotions tangentially related to this, like, I don't know, a year or 2 ago. I actually think it might have been not last year's in 2025, but last year's in 2024. Look, it's still January. I can call 2024 last year if I want to. But, I was painting something for someone I know, and I was still hot off of, no, you know what, I think I'll skip that part. What triggered it is unimportant, but, basically, I was realizing that for a lot of the things that I did, it didn't really matter that much how hard I tried, and, given I just spent an entire time rambling about, yes, I'm glad that I tried really, really hard, and that I just did the thing anyway, you can imagine that this, maybe hit me a little harder than I like to admit, and I was just under the realization that if a person already liked me, I could pretty much slack off on the drawing, and they'd probably still like it, as long as there was at least some love put into it, I guess you could say. So I had, drawn some quick 4-hour drawings of a cat, for example, and they'd been pretty happy with that in the past. I do like drawing cats. I have not drawn a cat in a long time, but I think they're great. And I was here just putting everything I had into this one particular drawing that I had, and I was just like, wait, why am I trying so hard? It's like, they already like me. No matter what I draw, they're gonna be happy with it. And it made it kind of hard to work on that, because I was just realizing this person already likes me, so I don't really have to try hard. They'll be happy with whatever I do, even if I just, did a quick cat doodle. Whereas if a person doesn't like me, it doesn't matter how good the drawing is, they're still gonna, they're probably not gonna like it. So it was a case of, it doesn't matter how hard I try, their reaction is already set in stone based on how they feel about me in particular. And I found this highly disturbing. It made it really, really hard to work on the picture for a little bit, but the conclusion I came to is largely, yeah, trying hard has its own merit and overall good feeling. And if this is a person that I care about, then regardless of the outcome, it's worth trying hard for them. And I should try harder for the people that care about me instead of trying harder to please the people that don't. Where, it doesn't matter what I do, they're not gonna care. and the people that already do like me. Again, it doesn't really matter. But nonetheless. Okay, I need to... I cannot see what I'm doing. But yeah, nonetheless. Those are the people that I should try the hardest for. And I kind of felt like I was trying hard for the wrong people. The ones that I should be trying the hardest for are, 1, myself, and 2, the people I don't have to try hard for. The ones that actually matter. So that was the conclusion I came to, and, you know, I suddenly felt better about a lot of things. And I was just able to keep going again, because at that was the point where I was just like, the result doesn't matter. It's the feeling put into it. And, frankly, I think I am worth fighting for, too. That's why I say that, you know, not working on the comic, worse than dying. Unironically. Because it's what I want to do. And that's why I kind of hate a lot of these random platitudes. I think there's things that people tell themselves so this way they can be lazy. It's like, no. You are worth fighting for. Everything about you. But that also means you gotta fight for it, because it's not easy. Like, I mean, that's why I'm here today. Like, I ended up not working on the comic today, so, you know, maybe there's gonna be a little bit of the deadness inside. I'm sure I'll find a way to make up for it eventually, but... In this case, that was more of a case of I chose to fight for something else. Choices are hard, man. I hate having to make them. And periodically, I do just have to... I get a weird idea in my head. And I just kind of have to think through it. And eventually I'll arrive at a conclusion on the other side. Actually, I had a lot of really bad feelings about writing tutorials, which probably sounds absurd. And thinking about it now, I still think it sounds a little bit absurd. And it took me a little while to identify the feeling and where it came from. And you know, but before I go into some of that, the way I view feelings is that they are nothing but information. It's just your brain trying to tell you something. And brains are kind of dumb, so they don't know how to talk, so they just put these visceral feelings inside of you. And sometimes it's terrible. They have terrible diagnostics. So oftentimes it is really inspecific. So sometimes it can take me a little while to process it. The little bit I just told you, that I eventually came to the conclusion that yes, I should draw the picture. I should draw it as hard as I can. That one gift I was making for the person, yeah. And that just a trying is worth. Even if the result ultimately doesn't really matter. Yes. That took me a while to get through. Probably the better part of a month, actually. Of just thinking on that, like, every day. This one actually came pretty fast. I'm getting better at identifying these things. But, one of the things that made me not like drawing for a while, when I was still learning, is that the communities I was in treated it very much like a grind. Where it's like, everything you do is bad, everything is terrible, gotta get good, here's how to improve, yada yada yada. Where art just became not about making stuff, but about getting better, whatever that means. And being happy with anything that you made, or expressing any kind of positive feeling, was often seen as bad in a couple of these communities, but, you know, even the ones that weren't, everyone was still really, really focused on gotta get good. And sometimes I just wonder where the end of that is. Like, when do you get to be happy with stuff that you made? And I'm still saying this, even with a kind of terrible art slump for me, where I'm really not liking a lot of the things that I make, and I look at it, and I'm just like, meh. So, I still feel that way sometimes, and I realized that I was really, really hesitant about contributing to some of that, and I felt like tutorials might do that. What the heck is this? This is just a... Oh, that's the glitter. Okay. So, I don't think I thought that consciously. It was just really bad feelings that cropped up whenever I thought about doing tutorials. And oh boy, did it feel bad. Like, when I started this channel, I had actually intended to do a bunch of Inochi 2D tutorials, and that never happened because the same thing happened. I just suddenly got a lot of really bad feelings as I was pulling it together, and Inochi 2D was kind of unstable, and there were a bunch of other things, so I just ended up not. And by the way, no one's responsible for my feelings. They were not entirely rational. They were based on a bunch of random stuff that my 14-year-old self, I guess, was thinking about. And a particularly bad experience in one community and just a bunch of random things. That's why I say emotions are just information. This was just random stuff stored in my brain that I just had to remember and work out. And, you know, I'm feeling better about it. So, I should be able to write some. Eventually. I really do want to post my 2 speed paints a week. I guess I shouldn't call them speed paints. I do not paint them nearly fast enough yet. But I do want to make sure I'm posting 2 time-lapse videos every week. And I am not currently fast enough to do that in a sustainable way that also lets me work on comic and potentially game design and some of the other stuff. So, I am going to work on getting faster. The one for the second half of this week. Oh my god. It's a great, it's a nice picture. But I can't keep doing stuff like this. And by the way, since I went on a big rant about being stuck in a self-improvement loop, I think it's inevitable to care about what you're doing enough that then you want to get better, and it's especially hard when you're a beginner and nothing looks good yet. But never join communities that require you to be self-deprecating constantly. Don't join communities only to get validation, and don't make improvement the only thing that matters. That's all I gotta say, because it just makes art so unfun. With few exceptions. I mean, I do think that there are genuine skill grinders. The equivalent of a bodybuilder in art. And that's fine. I don't think there's actually anything wrong with it. If you just want something to see progress with, you don't actually have anything you want to express or anything you really feel like doing with art. You just want to be good at something. Like, okay, fine. Fine. I do think that's valid. But I think for a lot of artists, we get into it because there's something we want to depict, whether that be an object or a feeling or whatever else. There is just something inside our minds that we want to get out of it into something that other people can see and interact with. And improvement necessary to a degree so you can better express those things. But if you forget about why you want to draw in the first place, it's just going to start feeling bad. This is why sometimes I really do think I need to go draw some original characters again. I'm not ready yet, but I probably will at some point. I have other goals for the moment, so I think I'll be okay, but... And I have told myself that I can do a character design for the protagonist of my comic once I get to a certain point. I have a very clear vision of kind of a turning point in it, where the protagonist realizes something really important. And I have told myself that once I can set that up in a way that makes me happy, and then write that scene, I can consider drawing her on stream. Only consider, because I think it would be better to finish it. The whole first draft before I do it. But, depending on how long that takes, I can consider doing it once I reach that point. Frankly, I think for a lot of creative people, or people that just want to do things in general, it's good to kind of keep your ideas bottled up within you. Like, you can write them down. Writing them down is healthy, but don't show it to anyone. Forbid yourself until you get to a certain point. Because, oh man, talking about it can be really intoxicating. And it can give you some of the satisfaction of actually doing it without actually doing it. And that's just unfortunate. Whereas part of the reason that I try to avoid talking about things too much is just because then I have the energy bottled up inside me and I have to get it out somewhere And if I don't talk about it, the only way to get it out is to actually go make it. And there is science about this. This is a real phenomenon. This is real. It is documented. So sometimes the answer is just to talk about it less. Stream is like a halfway point between that for me. Because I very often don't have chatters. At this point, I pretty much always have a couple of viewers, but for a while I didn't. So I didn't view just rambling here as that different from just opening a Word file and rambling there, because I was still just kind of screaming to the void. So I'm maybe a little bit more willing to talk about things here than I should be, but no, it's all right. That, and I'm also just generally bad at taking my own advice. Look, it's hard. I feel ya. I always want to talk about the things too. I don't remember what got me on this tangent. It's probably fine. I guess I can go back to my general view on what emotions are, of just our brains having a terrible diagnostics, and instead giving information to you in the form of visceral feelings. It's terrible. I wish our brains were better at telling us what was wrong, but instead we just get feelings and sometimes very bizarre dreams. I do think that feelings should be kept in mind and thought about. That it is a valuable source of information, but it doesn't mean you have to listen to them. You don't have to act on it. But I think they're worth thinking about. If I never thought about it and didn't identify why the idea of writing tutorials made me just feel viscerally bad for a while, I probably would have... I probably would never write them. But right now, I think I could. And I've been thinking about it a little bit. It's just one of those weird things. I think it's real easy to get caught up in emotion. And I am certainly not immune to it. And sometimes my brain gets huffy and pouty, and I just have to go, no, that's stupid. Sometimes it is. I mean, I say it in a very judgmental way here, but it's like, it's worth listening to. But it doesn't mean that the brain is correct. The brain will form random thoughts and conclusions based on the information that it has. But that doesn't mean that it has a totally objective view of reality. So like any source of information, it's worth thinking about. And considering what I want to do. And like, if I listened to every emotion I had, I would not be streaming right now. Because streaming is scary. And it was even scarier when I got started. I do not even remember my first stream, because I felt like I was going to throw up the entire time. I was ridiculously anxious. And I also remember at the beginning, I was being a bit of a perfectionist about a lot of the stuff that I was putting together, and I was like, oh yeah, I should have these things, and I should probably make some emotes and stuff, and I just realized after a while that I was using it as an excuse to delay getting started. It's like, here I am, like a year and a half later, and I still don't have memberships or anything that I could use those emotes for, so there was absolutely no point in making them before I got started. So I'm glad I didn't. I still haven't made them, by the way. I haven't. And then there was a lot of other little things, like just some VTuber culture stuff of, what do I call, you know, viewers. What's the fan name and some of this other stuff, and I didn't really know. I didn't have good ideas. I eventually decided that perhaps I could make the name together with the viewers at some point once I had them. And until then, I shouldn't worry about it, and I should just get started and try to get those viewers and various things like that. And it just became obvious to me that thinking about these small things was stopping me from getting started. And so I just did it. I didn't even worry about having a proper debut. I thought about doing it for a while, but then I realized that I had no idea how to do like a proper social media campaign and any of that, so I decided not to. And I just did it, and it was fine. Okay, and more importantly, I finished updating the curtains, and it only took me like 45 minutes. Speaking of never getting started, but you know, that's okay. Okay, let's do the balcony now. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce the opacity on this. This is basically going to be a stencil, and I am going to render this now. Got to make it nice, because, you know, right now it's a bit of a mess. It wasn't really important to do it early on, but now I got to get it done. Okay. So, oh, do I still have the purple filter on? I do. Okay. So, because I decided not to listen to brain anxiety and brain just trying to come up with every excuse it could to avoid getting started because I was kind of anxious and scared. It's like, yeah. That was worth ignoring. I had made the decision that I wanted to at least give streaming a try and see how I felt about it. Certainly no regrets there. I'm glad I did. Let's see. I think this should actually go this way. I think we see the top of this, not the bottom. So I'm going to adjust the way this all bends, so that means like everything here is backwards. That's okay. Okay, that's what the rough is for. You just get it in there to kind of get the idea down, and then you make it make sense later. So, I do think it is worth to hear the brain out sometimes, but that doesn't make it correct. Not at all. I think it's good to doubt your own perception sometimes, because sometimes the brain can be convinced of very weird things. I have had many a people convinced that I am mad at them, when all I feel is overwhelming indifference. I've had people convinced that I was mad at them when all I felt was a general positivity, actually. The funniest thing. I think I just have a little bit of a resting bitch face and a monotone voice, so I confuse people. It's all good. It's always so funny to me because I am not really conflict averse. So if I have a problem with someone, I generally say it in no uncertain terms where there is no room for misunderstanding or error. And if I am upset about something, people generally know. I have not found someone that was generally blindsided by how I felt about something. I cannot think of a single instance off the top of my head. So it's just always kind of funny to me. All right. Fortunately, I think this column is already drawn pretty well. I will be adding a few more details in a few places, but I think it's actually mostly looking pretty good. And once I draw this once, that's going to be like 90% of the work done. So that's pretty fantastic. Because I plan to just duplicate this over everywhere. That's why I reduced the opacity on the railing that I currently have. Because I am just going to copy and paste this every which direction, and it'll be great. When designing this one, I looked at a lot of different Greek and Roman columns. Their art styles are pretty similar. And they are remarkably simple. They are very simple, very elegant. I like them a lot. So I tried to keep some of those ideas here. I don't think I want to go, like, full Corinthian column. I don't want this to be that complicated. But I will just add some nice things here. I already have plenty of ideas. And I think that most of its lighting, aside from, like, these little bits that I'm putting in right now, is gonna be done via my lighting layers. So once I get the basics done here, I copy and paste it around, and that'll be it. It'll be real simple. I'm finding myself wishing that I had a little bit more time today, or not today, but just in general. Because I do like talking about all this random brain stuff. I do it very disparagingly, but I think that's because the brain needs to be knocked down a peg. I think it feels a little bit self-important sometimes. And like it's just this utter genius that knows everything and will convince you of all that. So, you gotta keep it humble. And I can feel that too. I can get a little overly pretentious sometimes too. And the world has a way of knocking me down a peg as well. I think it's a good way to be. Unironically, I do. You gotta stay humble. But, I've been wanting to read more about neuroscience. I'm really curious about where it's going and some of the other stuff that we figured out. Because, periodically, when I'm just derping around, just due to the places I derp around in, I do hear about some new studies about the brain or, figuring out a thing or two based on accidents that have happened and people studying the brains of people that have been damaged, you know, people that have suffered from strokes or car accidents that took out a certain part and just seeing what happens when certain parts of the brain breaks. And that is super cool. It is really interesting, but I just haven't had time to look it up and read about it more, and I'd really like to. It's so hard to find time for everything. I hate it. It's like this is where I'm like, you know, I could spend less time derping around with other things, or some of this other stuff I tell myself, but I don't really think it's that easy either, because these tend to be really, really dense. Like, occasionally I can find somebody that brings it down into more layman's terms that I can understand a little bit more easily. But for the most part, it's really, really dense reading and really hard to understand. It's not like I have a medical degree or anything. This is just something I'm interested in. And so, unfortunately, I only have so much brain I can use in a day before it gets tired and needs a rest. And if I overdo it, I get what happens today, and now I have no brain to use today, and like, you know, that's fine. I have other plans for today, so I don't need that much brain for today. But it meant that I missed out on a writing day, and that's really sad. So there's only so much I can do to push beyond the limits there. And I think that's also really sad. Even if I try my absolute hardest, do my absolute best, there's just only so much I can do. And I hate it. I just can't warp reality like I can in my drawings. It's very sad. So, I'd really like to do it more. I've been thinking a lot about potential characters I might be interested in portraying. I think I said a long time ago that the one thing that could convince me to rebrand is the fact that I don't think I went very hard on kayfabe with Planckera. And I kind of wish that I had. So it's more thinking in terms of that, of just, you know, do I want to? What would I like to play? What would I do if I change things up a little? And one of them has a bunch of stuff to do with the mind, and I think that character sounds pretty cool. I'm not sure if it's the one I want, but nonetheless, she was pretty cool. As you might imagine, from someone that learned how to draw because she wanted to draw her OCs, I think it's just kind of fun to make characters sometimes. Regardless of what I do with them. It's kind of hard for me to talk about them without context, though. I'd like to write down some stuff about them that maybe would let me talk about some of them. And I could actually provide the necessary context, but there is one I think I could do, because I've been thinking about some of her ideas a lot lately. And she has kind of a fun superpower in that she can't do much of her own, but she is basically the embodiment of the Dunning-Kruger effect and makes people as strong as they think they are. So, Very, very fun one. So she is an absolute massive liar. Because the more people believe in themselves, the better they do. Because she will make them as strong as they think they are. So with people with low self-esteem, they're gonna have... her power not gonna do anything to them. And, the way she ended up getting good, because it was kind of interesting. Because the people that would benefit most from her ability were also the ones that didn't really need it. And, didn't really need it and weren't really inclined to do what she said. Because, you know, those people have actual self-esteem and they can just go do what they want. So what she did was she still... I consider her very cult leader adjacent. And sometimes very literally. I've had her as a mob boss, I've had her as a cult leader. Depending on the kind of settings that I play her in. You have to remember, most of my characters are made for role-playing, not fiction. I'm working on it, but... But yeah, she's sometimes kind of around those things. I'm making her sound more sinister than she is. She's just kind of a doof, if I'm being honest. But, that's more or less what she does. And ultimately the way she got her underlings to be strong was not to convince them of their own power, but to convince them that she was making them strong, that she was doing stuff for them, and all they had to do was believe in her. And I always found that the use of her power very fun. She's a bit of an attention seeker, so I've actually drawn her several times, because anytime I kind of want to try something, and I'm like, oh yeah, I want to try something, which character should I just go ahead and draw? She tends to raise her hand. And demand my attention, so she comes up a lot. Alright, and with that, I think we got a pretty solid looking column there. Now all the details are on, and we're ready to copy and paste it everywhere. I'm still gonna keep my reference, though, because I don't want to lose it. Okay. Ooh, I did not actually draw it big enough. I am surprised. Alright, I need your opacity to be just a little bit higher, and let's see. I'm gonna trust what I have here. I think I did a pretty good job of figuring that out. Oh wait, no, there was one more thing I wanted to do with it. I forgot. Okay, I gotta do that first. And I wanted some little ridges in a few places. This is a common feature of Greek architecture. I like my characters, though. I like them a lot. So that's why I kind of want to try to write down some of their stories. Sometimes it's hard, though. What spawned not the current comic I'm trying to write, but the one I was trying before it, the one idea that I had, I couldn't quite wrangle the plot, so I decided to try this idea. I was hopeful it might be a little bit simpler. Or that maybe I'd learn something and I'd be able to... Okay, I'm gonna back it up here. Or that I'd learn something and then I'd be able to try this other idea. Was I wanted to write a particular character. But she's a bit weird in that... I feel like her story, and the best way to write her, is not as the protagonist, but as the villain. So I ended up making a hero to kind of go deal with her, and I really, really hope I can write it someday. It's, with any luck, if I do a good job with my current idea, I kind of want to do this one next. Because I think I have a lot of really good ideas for it. I just kind of have to actually figure out how to put them together. And it's rough out there, man. It's like role-playing gave me enough writing experience to recognize when something is wrong, but not necessarily on how to fix it. So, I've been doing a lot of thinking. I read a lot of stories. I've been analyzing the media I consume really hard, and I have figured out a lot of things, and it's helped. But it's gonna be slow going for a while. This week I was really happy because I finally finished a particular scene. Now, this was Tuesday, since unfortunately I did not get to write today. But, I finished a scene that I had been working on, and I was, pleased. But I had to rewrite it about 4 times before I finally got it right. This wasn't the case for me looking for the right turn of phrase. It was just, something felt off, and I had a really hard time identifying what. But I eventually got it. So I'm getting there. I just gotta keep trying, and I'm really glad that I have the skill with drawing already, because I remember feeling a lot of these things when I was relatively new to drawing, of just like, you know, this is wrong, but I don't know why, and some other things that just made me feel like I'd never be able to get good. And now I know that, you know, the brain is stupid, and that's fine. It's doing its best. And I don't think it should necessarily feel bad about it, but it can't be trusted. So I know that I can just work through it, and that I shouldn't be afraid of reworking a scene several times if I don't like it. That is exactly what I did with art, actually, where I would spend like a month on a single piece because I'd redraw certain parts of it just over and over again until I was happy. And I was not afraid to do that. So, you know, I don't think I should be afraid to do the same thing with my writing right now. And I can see the parallels between everything that I had to do to learn how to draw and everything that I'm feeling with art, or with writing. You know how I said that no matter what you learn, you can probably find some way to apply it to your art? This is exactly what I mean. You really can. Doesn't matter what it is. Unironically. So, and you know, because I had some experience with having a really hard time with learning how to draw, I'm now recognizing of, oh yeah, this is just like what happened back then, so I have an easier time pushing through. It's pretty cool. Brains are neat. As stupid as they are, they can recognize patterns. You just kind of have to push certain amounts of information aside and know which bits to ignore and which parts to listen to. That's why I want to read more neuroscience. It's cool. Brains are neat. I like them. I just wish they had better diagnostics. And I just like making fun of them. They make it too easy. Kind of like how any VTuber viewership will always like bullying their Oshi. You know, you love your Oshi, but she's just so fun to tease. And if you don't bully your Oshi, are you really a fan? Let's be real. Alright, this should be the last little set of details I need. I just wasn't happy with how square some of the bits of column here looked. Actually, you know, thinking about it, learning about the brain also helped with my art because I feel like once you become aware of some of these things, of just how silly brains can be, it's easier to just kind of ignore it or say, hey, brain, you know, this is just this, don't worry about it. And I have found my brain just going, oh, okay. Like, it can accept it. And I don't think that would be true if I hadn't learned some of these things and become aware of them and put it into the forefront. So, you know, everything you learn will be helpful. Everything. It's common writing advice that I see too, of just never forget to live your life. Because eventually, I think this is true of drawing as well, but I see it more commonly with writing. Of don't forget to live your life, because eventually you'll see something out there, and an idea will come into your head, or a connection will be made, and you will just solve all the problems that have been tearing at you for so long. They all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. So, yeah, you gotta go out and do stuff too. There we go. And now it is doing what I want, and I'm happy. I do plan to put a few more carvings in on there. You know what? I should do some of them now. Some of them are going to be unique to each column. But some of them are going to be the same across, so I should get the ones that are going to be the same across. Okay, I need another layer for this. Okay, so I'll go ahead and draw what I want on there down here. I'm definitely going to have to resize this, that's fine. We'll just draw it in the shadow color for now. Let's see, I want the points a bit longer. I have drawn the shape so many times that it is becoming so easy. So many times. It never stops. But it's a nice shape, so it's okay. Okay. So now I'm just gonna plop this guy in a few different places here. And it'll just make things look super nice. Actually, I should, like, yes, that's where I'm gonna put it, but I should keep a copy just in case. Because I'm probably gonna want to put it in different places. So, we'll do this. And I do plan on merging all of this. Ain't no way I'm dealing with this many layers. But first, I gotta get it in place. And it should look really nice. I do think that these kinds of architectural details do make a difference. And frankly, they don't even take that long. They're not that bad. Okay, we're good. And I do have everything perfectly symmetrical, so I can kind of line it up with the columns there. And it'll be super easy. It'll be great. I want this one to turn, so there we go. Actually, that's right. If it's symmetrical, I don't even have to be fancy. Okay. I can just... There we go. I don't even have to try that hard. Okay, so there we go. We're just gonna put some little stars there. And I do want some at the bottom. I'm just kind of deciding where. Probably on this thing. Yeah, I think so. Alright, friend, I need you again. Alright, let's get this on there. I'm gonna shrink it a little so this way it will look a little bit more in perspective and like it's laying on this. So you can see I actually forgot quite a few things. I'm just like, oh hey, I have the structure of this done, let's get it in place. And I'm like, no, we are beyond the point of structure now. Now, we are in the time of detail. Everything must happen. Everything must happen now. Everything must be getting into its final form. Okay. I don't think this looks right. Okay. Oh no. I can fix this. Get on there. Thus demands me. There. Yeah, that looks a little more on there. Okay. Just needed to mess around with perspective a little. Yeah, that looks better. Okay. I do think that this needs a little bit of highlight in order to really work. I'm thinking about how to go about that. No, this is fine. This is background detail. If it was going to be in the foreground, I'd probably put a little bit more detail on it and or blur it, depending on my mood. But, I keep changing my mind. Okay, I'm going to see what it looks like with a little bit of highlight. We're just going to take this white from Memoria's dress, and I'm going to plop it on. I'm going to put it on one side. Yeah. And I can just mirror the thing horizontally if I want the highlight to be on the other side. So this will not be symmetrical. Okay, there we go. And then I just gotta do that for all of them. But I think it'll look pretty good. It should look a little bit more in there like this. Sometimes I ask myself, why am I like this? Why do I insist on zooming in to 400% and adding all the tiny details? And then I look at it and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, that's why. It's okay, you know, just seeing it is enough to remind me of why I do things. On why I like to try hard. You know, I'm so glad that I can still try hard and take as long as I need on stream. Because this is where I'm gonna try things. I am gonna try so many new things, and I look forward to showing it to all of you. I am somewhat at a crossroads with my art. I think I want to do them both. Because I don't like making choices. So I'll do them both. And one of them is something more heavily based on shapes where I use very few colors. And I can draw nice scenes like that, or even neat character illustrations. So basically what I'm doing here. And then another one, I kind of want to try something a little bit more detailed, a little bit more soft. Not exactly semi-realism, but closer to that than what I'm doing here, where I try to put in some more softness and some other interesting things. And I'm kind of looking forward to it. Right now, I'm kind of treating stream like my playground. I do hope it is entertaining for all of you. Well, you just kind of see me go try all the things I want and then, work through all of those stupid girl feelings that keep bubbling up in my head and won't go away. While I process the information that the feelings are providing for me and, work through all the existential dread and maybe occasionally talk about science. It's helping, you know, where I just vocalize some of these things. If you ever want to talk about them, I'd love to, so feel free to say hello in the comments or, you know, say hello in the chat. I'm not very good about talking about mundane things like food, but you ever got any weird ideas you want to think about? Well, we can try. Either that, or I will call you silly. But I am under the impression that a lot of people are into that, so who knows? Yeah, I only want to keep these lights on the pattern itself. Or if you have questions about art, ooh. Or even about what I'm doing. I've had people ask me why I've drawn things before, and frankly, a lot of the times why I draw things is just not that deep. Like this one. I wanted to draw space. I don't think I've done that since starting the channel here. I don't think I've drawn any space pictures on stream. I had a couple of Inktober drawings that were in space. But I don't think I had drawn anything in space prior to this one. And that's just a travesty. I mean, like, come on. How dare. So, I figured I should rectify that immediately. So that's why I drew this picture. Like I said, it's really not that deep. Most of the things I draw really aren't that deep. They're just things I think are nice. But you know what? I'm okay with that. I don't think every drawing has to have some deep meaning behind it or a scathing critique of reality. Sometimes they can be because you just want to draw space and cute anime girls. I always like to remind myself of this because sometimes I do think I can get a little bit pretentious. And I have to remind my brain of, you know, we're just out here on a rock, traveling in a straight line in space, or at least it thinks it does. Getting sucked into this, a thing that's gonna kill us all. It's getting sucked into its gravity well. And then the utter irony of the thing that's gonna kill us all is currently the only reason any of us are alive and any of that stuff. And I just remember, oh yeah, you know, let's just draw some cute anime girls in space. Sounds fantastic. Alright, I'm almost done with all the highlights I want to do. I'll probably plop a little bit through there. Well, no, I won't. If I was just drawing the column and there wasn't going to be something on top of it, I absolutely would. But this part's all going to be covered up, so I don't really need to worry about it. I probably don't even need to put in the little divots, but that's fine. Sometimes I can get caught up in drawing cool things. Or get caught up in details and forget, oh yeah, this is going to be covered up. But trust me, these highlights are going to make it so much better. I'll do it before and after. Because it's going to be really subtle, but it'll be there. So here we are. We have the thing. So yeah, super subtle, but makes a huge difference, right? I actually don't think I have the highlights and the stars quite thick enough, but I see it immediately on the columns. I want to make it look like that this is carved into the stone. So these little highlights are actually pretty important. I just didn't make them big enough because I'm zoomed into 400% and I have, like, no perspective for how things look. This thumbnail's too small for what I'm doing right now. Okay, before I go do the other set of stars, I'm gonna go make sure that this is a good thickness. Just so I don't go through it again, only to need to thicken it up more. Yeah, that's better. Just pop a little bit more now. Okay. I've been thinking a lot about why I'm a lot slower on stream than I am off stream. And I don't think it's just the multitasking of trying to talk and draw at the same time. I think that's a factor. And of course my attention is even further divided when I have chatters. So I think that is a factor, but I don't think it's actually the main thing. And I think the main thing is just that I tend to get a little, well, maybe it is the main thing now that I think about it, but I tend to get a little absent-minded while I'm thinking about all these other things. So my hand just kind of moves and it just kind of does things. And I forget very obvious things like, hey, make sure you zoom out and make sure that what you're doing is worth it before you get too caught up in details. And I don't. So all right. Okay, so now I can go back to getting these guys in place because I think they're good now. So I'm trying to base where I think that these should be put roughly on where the base is here. So actually, this will probably make it easier on me. I'm going to invert the colors there, just so that this way I can more clearly see where the next column needs to go. Okay. Yeah. We're getting somewhere here. Maybe I should have started on the other side, but oh well. And then I'll just invert all the colors back when all is said and done. It'll be great. It should all work out. And I'll just use my previous version as a little stencil, more or less. At least give me some idea of where I'm going with all this. Looks like I might actually have them a little bit too big. I must have shaved down the base there quite a lot at some point. Or did I shrink things? Okay, well that's fine. I guess this probably won't actually help me very much anymore then. Okay, let's do it without. And you know, don't worry about the brown. It'll be fine. When the time comes... Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot that inverting colors doesn't work off screen. Okay. We're backing up then. Okay. I can't invert the colors like that. I forgot that it only does it when the thing is on screen. And if it's off screen, then the colors won't be inverted, and then I can't just invert the colors again to fix everything. Terrifying! I actually ran into that a couple of times on my off-stream drawing, so I'm surprised I forgot about it so quickly. Okay. Well, let's just place everything how I think it should be placed. And I'll worry about the shadows and stuff a little bit later. We're not gonna merge these layers down right away. Okay, I need Leia back. Because I need her to help me figure out proper perspective here. And I get the feeling I'm going to be shuffling these around for a little bit when it's all said and done here. I think this is too big. I'm going to start over. This is kind of the moment of truth, so I want to make sure I do it right. Because this is when things are going to start kind of coming together. I do think it needs to be a little bit bigger than this, but not much. Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna have to think about this for a little bit. Basically, I'm thinking both compositionally, like, I want to make it look like the line of railings will continue around, so I can't just leave this one over here, for example. Because when they're overlapping that much, in order to make them come forward, come toward the viewer, then having this space here will make it look like they just suddenly stop. So it does have to go all the way to the end. And I also can't just evenly space them out like this, because then that'll make the background look flat. It will not make it look like the balcony is curving around in a circle, like I want. So they have to be overlapping somewhat here, like this. And just to give an idea of what this is going to look like when it's more done. Let's see, I need the shadow color here. We're going to have like a little shadow from where they overlap here. I'm just not doing that yet. But there will be something like that. In fact, I really don't want that there right now. And so I'm looking at their bases here, and I'm kind of aligning them that way. In order to get the right feeling for how I picture this balcony to be coming toward the viewer. So as we get a little further out, I'm going to start pushing them further and further apart. But right now, they're still pretty firmly coming towards us. So they're still staying quite close together. I also don't think I want their little feet to be on here, so maybe I do need them to be a little bit bigger. I just hope this doesn't make them super blurry. Okay. The feet won't come out until further back. Okay. Let's see. I think I still need some of these a little closer together. It's not quite coming forward the way I want it to. And this is going to look weird until I add those shadows that I mentioned, but that's okay. It is expected. Nothing to worry about. They just really need to be on top of each other until things start curving away enough. I think I'm doing this right, so we'll see how it works out. And then as I go out, I start making them a little further apart. And then they'll start getting a little smaller. Actually, in that case, as they start getting a little bit smaller, I think I'm going to start taking from here so that this way I'm not adjusting their size too much. That's a good way to get some blurry lines. I don't want to be resizing an object a lot. I'm probably going to have to change the balcony part that she's standing on in order to accommodate some of this, but that's fine. Things are not yet in their final form, so I've got plenty of time to figure some of this out. Okay, Leia's in the way now, so I need to get rid of her. I'm gonna look at everything I've got around here. So, how should this be? I start getting a little bit further apart. I'm still not convinced that I'm doing this right, but, well, what can you do? Yeah, this doesn't feel right at all. Okay, I'm gonna start from the other side. I don't like any of this. I'm gonna kill it. It's gonna die horribly. Okay. Let's try again. Alright, this time I'm gonna start from this side. Because on this side, we do see its head and its feet. And I think that'll be easier for me to understand. Once again, I'm gonna put it partially off screen there. And then from there, I actually want to think about the spacing here. I want to leave a pretty good amount of space. But not quite enough that someone could fit their head through it. So probably about here. It is supposed to be safe. You don't want people sliding off and into space. Like, that would just be incredibly dangerous. I'm willing to believe that the goddess loves her followers, and thus would want to avoid having them slide off to their doom like that. So, we will do it like this. And I'm hopeful that with this as a good frame of reference, I'll be able to figure out how the rest of the balcony should look as it comes forward. This railing is going to have to change a lot too. That's alright. Columns look nice though. I like them. And you know, maybe trying to figure out perspective when I'm feeling super brain dead, not the best idea. But admittedly, after the nice little break I had this morning, I'm not actually feeling too bad. I think if I had tried to push through that, that would have been a recipe for burnout. But, I didn't. So, I think all is well. And you know what? I'm kind of glad that I prioritize stream over writing. As you know, I could have canceled stream in order to write instead when my brain started feeling a little bit better. But I like streaming. I like being here. It makes me happy. So, unfortunately, I just had the opportunity cost. I had to make the choice of what I wanted to do more, and ultimately, this one. And it was the same with last night, where I could have decided, okay, it's probably not that important that I release 2 a week, so, you know, I could just not, and finish this either this morning or, you know, next week, and it probably would have been fine. But ultimately, I decided to prioritize the channel over writing the comic. I always like to be very conscious of these things, because ultimately, the choices that you make will determine what's important to you, and I like thinking about them explicitly, because it could be real easy to get caught up in emotions or other thoughts or things that you feel like you should do, as opposed to the things that are actually important. And it can cause you to make bad decisions. Or rather, decisions that kind of go against what you would like to do. But I just like being here. So, I'll keep being here. Easy. Another one of those things that, you know, sometimes it is quite straightforward, quite simple. Oh yeah, this was 100 times easier than trying to do it from the perspective way first. 'Cause now this is where things are starting to come forward, so I'm making the columns a little bit bigger. And a little bit closer together. And now I don't even have to do shenanigans with putting certain layers underneath each other, and everything is fine. Nice. Easy peasy. So much easier than whatever the heck I was trying to do before. And don't worry, I'll adjust the floor around this. I think this is going to be the easiest way to see how the balcony should be. And you see, with them kind of partially overlapping like this, it's starting to curve. And I think that's cool. It's so easy to fool the human senses. That's why you can't trust them. This is why there's philosophers that are just like, okay, but what if everything we see is an illusion? Or something created by an evil demon that just tried to trick us? Dude, that guy must have had so much existential dread when he had that thought. It's crazy. Okay, one more. Okay. There, I think that looks pretty good. I mean, nothing else is in perspective, so I gotta fix it, but for this part, I think it's pretty good. And now I'm gonna have to deal with an army of layers for a little bit, possibly forever. I'm not sure if I'll ever merge them, but I need to stretch. Big stretch. Okay, I'm feeling better. Yeah. I like this picture. Okay, so now we're gonna get the floor. And I am not gonna keep any of the decoration that I have on it right now because it is not in perspective in the slightest. And it'll throw me off trying to get it all. Oh. Do I have improper colors here? Did I turn the purple filter back on? Huh. I wonder why the colors don't match. Oh, well, whatever. Do they match this? No. Okay. How strange. Well, I've got the right colors now, so I'll roll with it. The balcony is slightly more blue than the colors I used on Leia. I guess it's fine. Okay, so this is gonna go with, like, the little feet here. I have thoughts for how it should sit, so that is why I wanted to do the other part first. So that this way they could all be sitting on this in the way that I wanted it to. Now I can just plop a line connecting everything, and it should all work out. As long as I plop that line in the right spot. So they're not quite on the edge of the platform here. There's a little gap on the edge. But they're close. They're real close. Yeah, this one's a little high now that I look at it. But there is a little tiny gap. Also, I think I changed my mind on adding further decoration to the railings. I was thinking about adding some unique patterns and stuff to them. But no, I think this is perfect now that I look at it. I think this is great. So I think I'll leave it like this. And I just need to get the floor in now. And I want to make sure it's looking nice and in perspective to me. Alright, let's get Leia up in here again. She can come back now. And now I just kind of want to get some of the little terrace effects. Some of those nice things. I'm thinking about the easiest way to add this. I'm not sure, so I'm just going to do it manually. I have no idea what I'm doing. Okay. And hopefully I can get this sufficiently in perspective that I will be happy enough. I'm just trying to keep it a relatively consistent distance away from where I put the columns. I will probably have to zoom in and clean a lot of this up, but I gotta start somewhere, so right here's a good a place as any. Just because my hand is a little bit unsteady. I've been practicing, getting it a little bit more steady, and I think it's been helping. I do. I think it's working. And then I want this part to look like it's coming forward a little. Coming towards us. I'm a little concerned about the feet showing here, especially since she's touching this and her feet aren't showing, but I don't think it looks bad, so I'll roll with it. Okay, now we just do it again. How hard could it be? I want a little closer, I think. And I don't think we see any of it curl out toward this. Leia's now covering it all. God, I totally flubbed up this side. You know, I'm just gonna try that again. Everything up to here looks fine. There, that's better. Okay. And then I think my original design had another step. Do I want it? Yeah, I think that starts getting a little bit too... No. So I think it's just going to be like this. And then by every column, there's going to be a little brick. So there. I don't want to add those yet, though. I need to go in and make sure that everything I have is nice and smooth. As you can see, it is currently not. But that's easy to fix. Okay, and on some of these I am going to have to rotate the columns. As you can see, it makes sense for the highlights to be on this side for these ones. Or for the ones to the left of Leia, I think the highlight should be on the other side. And for those, I will just mirror them horizontally, and that should fix all my problems. It'll be great. And by the way, I don't really mind the details of the background getting a little bit lost because the colors are so similar. I think that is suitable. This background should not be calling too much attention to itself. It only exists to make Leia look nice. And if it demands too much attention, it will detract from her and make her less visible. So I think that these colors blending together is actually perfect. I approve. So there we go. Now I just gotta smooth out all the lines. It'll be fine. I'm kind of looking forward to getting into the rest of the background because, you know, even though I said that I drew this one because I wanted to draw space, I have drawn very little outer space here. Up until now, basically everything has been girl. But that's just kind of how it is, you know. Leia is the focal point. Even though I wanted to draw some outer space, she is still the focal point. This picture is still about her. And so whatever suits her best is what I do. So, you know, much like with the Pippa drawing, now that I have Leia finished, the rest is probably going to come pretty quickly. Even with me wanting to change the curtains, you know? Like, you can't help those women instincts sometimes. Sometimes you just want to change the curtains. Okay, so here I am, just unsatisfied with these little steps here. Characteristic of me, very much so. I think my brain's getting a little bit tired more quickly than usual today. That's alright. Tomorrow is the day that I have slated for resting. So, I should be able to recover a bit tomorrow. I've heard some people say that when you wake up in the morning, if you want to avoid burnout, you should be back at 100%. And I think this is solid advice for people that can't make their own schedule. So that'd be for people that have to, you know, work a 9 to 5 and have a boss and stuff, and people that can't compromise. But for me, because I am relatively free to decide what I want, I actually work on a weekly schedule. So I don't mind if I spend a few days, if I overtax myself for a few days. As long as by the end of the week and back on Monday, I'm back at 100% or dang close to it. And I think that will be perpetually sustainable for me. We will see if I am correct. If I am correct, maybe I'll start taking commissions again. I don't know. Okay. So once again, I just feel like this little step doesn't look very good, but you know what? I think I can make this a little easier on myself. At least until about here. I think what I can do is just copy and paste what I did here. Because these should be about the same. I think this one should be a tiny bit narrower. Actually, is it the other way around? No, they should be about the same. Yep. Yay! Okay. Yeah, that was easier than whatever the heck I was trying to do. So, there we go. Gotta take better advantage of my digital tools. I will be the embodiment of speed before you know it. I'm gonna try really hard because I really like this channel and I want to see it go places. Even if it doesn't. I like trying really hard. Okay. There we go. I think that is correct. So now this looks nice and far away, and this looks nice and up close. I'm going to add my bricks. These lines are going to be very thin. I want to add one by each little column here. Okay, I'm actually going to have to think about how to do this then. Look, art is hard. And I still kind of fake my way through perspective. So let's start here then. Maybe I should put it right in the middle. That might make more sense. Yeah, I think that does make more sense. Okay. So there. I think that's perfect. I don't think I have to do any more than that. So, that'll be it there. I was thinking about adding a mosaic or something on the floor, but I still might, but I don't think we'd see very much of it. If I was going to, what I would do is basically I'd take this reference here and I'm gonna add the little Seraphine logo. So, you know what? We'll do a little bit of science and see how it looks. No, please stop being selected together. I only want this one. Okay. So I'm gonna have to make this really big in order to make that tiny little logo big enough that I can actually trace it well. Ooh, even this isn't big enough, but I can't zoom out any further. Oh my. Okay, that should do it. Okay, and gonna reduce the opacity. Oh good, I don't actually need it that big. Oh, that's a relief. I need it to be small enough that I can actually fit it on the entire thing, but it probably does need to be pretty dang close to the size of the entire picture in order for me to have enough space to put it into perspective. Okay, so we got that. I'm gonna take the symmetry tool and we're gonna move it to the middle. And I'm not going to attempt to draw the whole thing. I don't think I need to. Attempting to draw the whole, or draw on colors would be a pain, so I'm not going to do that either. And I am just going to take my shadow color here. Let's see, I need to hide you for a second. So we're going to take my dark color there. And I am just going to trace over this thing. Okay. Let me make sure I really got that centered. There we go, that's perfect. I'm not going to make it too clean. I'm just going to go over it real quick. It's got to be cleaner than this, but let's just go ahead and trace here. Embrace the little bit of messiness here. I just want to see if it looks good. I will clean it up proper if I think it looks really good. But for now, I'm just going to get the elements in. Okay, shape there. Boop. 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 Nice little diamond, nice little triangle, nice little, I don't know, I'll call this a nice feather thing. Okay, and I think that's sufficient for what I need right now. So let's take this, bring it back down to the floor, and let's go ahead and hide my reference for a second. I will want to put that back. But right now, I just have to get it out of the way. And now, we put it on the floor. Oh, that's actually pretty nice. But the thing is that I want this balcony to look really big. So, it is super unclear what this is. Because if I wanted it to be smaller, I would have started curling these a little bit sooner. So yeah, I don't think that works. Okay. I'm so glad I tried. Or maybe it makes sense to have it, but just not for this picture. Alright, and I want to put this back. So we're gonna make it tiny again. Just get it back into place here. Okay. I just don't want to lose that. Alrighty. Science complete. And I am satisfied. I don't think that I'm going to put any highlights on the bricks. They might look nice, but I don't really want to do it for this. So I think all that's left, I do have to do the top of the railing. So yeah, let's do that now. Railing toe. Yes. Yes, indeed. Okay. Leia needs to hide again. So I just want this to be sitting on all the columns evenly. So let's see, the two things left to do before lighting. The top of the railing. And the lighting. Or wait, the top of the railing and the shadows on the columns. And then, yes, the lighting. Those are the two things to do before lighting. And I will be putting a nice little pattern on the railing. Because of course I will. But it's going to be... I just lock you. But it's going to be a very simple pattern. I don't think it'll be that much trouble to draw. Okay, so I'm not going to worry about smoothing this yet because Leia's going to be covering a lot of it. I just want to make sure that I have the height and width of everything the way I want it. Right now, I think it is just super duper chunky. So I'm making it a little bit more sane. I like the way it's sitting on my columns for the most part, though. Let's see. It is a little bit different in a few places. I don't think I want to use the line tool for it. I did think about it. I did think about using the line tool to make my life a little bit easier. I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think that this is actually straight enough to make me want to do that. There's just a tiny bit of curvature to it. And a lot of this, I think in order to get right, I will have to zoom in and do some measuring. That's okay. But I think that looks good. I think that is about as big as I want it to be. So now we can put Leia back into place. Collapse my curtains there. Okay. And now I start smoothing things out. So what I really want to pay attention to on this pass is how far away from the top is each of these. Now this, the line tool might be able to help me a little bit, just because I do think up until her finger, they are very, very straight through there. So I think I actually can use the line tool for that. Very carefully, of course. Okay, let me see. I'm gonna reduce the opacity just so... Oh, okay. I was gonna say just so I can see where I want the bottom of this to be, but I actually want it to be, like, right there. So instead of an eraser, I need to use a brush. Now I can use the eraser and kind of finish it off. Okay. This is where I said, this part I think I can actually keep pretty straight, just because it's so far in the background. Up here, not so much, though. Okay. So if I analyze what I drew here, it's just, like, barely covering the top here. Okay, this I should be safe to invert the color on. So yeah, just barely covering the top. I think this might be going too far. Let's take a look. Yeah, just a little. Just barely covering the top. Okay, and that looks super messy, but you know, it's okay, because all I'm caring about is right through here, because this is the only part that's showing. Okay, I think her arm covers everything here. And then we get more railing here. And it is coming forward. But it should still just be barely covering the top of the columns. So this tells me I need it to be coming up a little bit higher, which, you know, is fortunate because her hand is all the way up there. So you know what? I'm glad that worked out, actually. I am. Okay. Okay, hold on. Looks like I have some residue. I gotta clear that out of there. Don't want any residue here. And then this doesn't feel quite in perspective to me, so I'm gonna go fix that, but there we go. I think that looks good. Do I have it smoothed through here? I think so. Okay. Did I miss a spot in the curtains? No, we're good. Okay. So there we go. And now for the shadows of all of the railing bits. That's gonna take a second, but it'll be worth it in theory. Oh, is that not? Oh yeah, that's right. We're gonna be at the top, actually. No? Yes? Oh man. This is gonna be harder than I thought. Okay. No. It should be safe to do a little bit of color inversion here because they're not moving. So I do that. So this way I can see where the columns overlap each other. And because I'm not moving them, it should be safe to invert the colors. We'll just do a little bit of that. Get those shadows in there. Fix it. And then invert the colors back. Okay. So now I invert this one. And we go do the next one. And I just keep doing that until it's all done. Actually, is there... Hold on. I gotta check something on this guy. I just realized I did not check the top quite so thoroughly. Okay. Okay, we just gotta gently get those little shadows in there. I do think that they're important. And I do think it is worthwhile. And actually looking at the way the highlights and the columns shook out, I don't think I need to change their direction here. I think it's fine. I was thinking about that earlier where I said I was going to have to change the side that the highlight was on. I no longer think this is the case. I think this looks fine. So I'll just go get those shadows in there real quick. I'm a little bit sad about how blurry they look, but I think it's okay. We'll see if I change my mind in 5 minutes, but for now, I'm just going to focus on getting these shadows in. And this is only going to be for where the columns are overlapping each other. There will be no further lighting done. The rest will be on a lighting layer. Okay, just a couple more. This is 100% though, so yeah, I should touch up those edges. That's alright, it won't take that long. I don't want to leave it looking ugly. That would make me too sad. I have not been checking their feet thoroughly enough. Okay, I better go back and double check all that. Okay. I'm gonna double check. Oh, okay, so the reason that I didn't really check their feet is because the braid covered it. Nonetheless, I'll give it a quick look. Okay, no, I think we're good. Okay, feet do cover each other a little bit over there, so I do think that I need a little bit of shadow here. Just right through here. And I see it on the next one too, where just the foot covers the other one just a tiny, tiny bit here. So he'll get just a tiny, tiny bit of shadow. The rest, I do not believe have any overlap. Okay. Leia is far enough away from all of these, except for up here and here. that I'm not going to put any shadows there, but I will do it in those places where she's touching. So let's see, which one is that? Yeah, we'll put a little bit kind of under the braid here. I'm on the wrong layer. It's fine. So we'll get just a little bit around this braid here. A little bit on the sleeve. And this is, strictly speaking, not exactly accurate, but I think it looks good. And these are far enough away that I think only like a sliver will do it. And that's why I say this isn't exactly accurate, but I like the way it separates her from everything else. So I will use a slightly inaccurate shadow for that. The rest are too far away. I'm not going to do anything for them. I think it would look strange. Okay, back up to the top. And I'll do a little bit for this braid, too. Try to find which railings it is actually touching here. I just want to have a little bit less detail in the places nearest to her. And shadows are excellent for that. It'll push her forward just a little bit more. Even if it is a little bit nonsense. And as I keep going, I'm going to let that shadow get thinner and thinner. Until this last one is barely going to have any presence at all. Okay, so there we go. There's that. She's not going to cast any big shadows on the floor or anything because the light source is behind her, so the shadow will be coming forward toward the viewer, and thus we don't see it. So this is all good. Let's go ahead and just kind of smooth out some of these edges a little because I think they're kind of ugly. They're just a little bit too blurry for my taste. But now I know which areas I have to care about. Since I took the time to do a little bit of those shadows first. So I can fix this up nice and quick. And we'll be ready to do the pattern on the top of the railing. Why are you not pink? That's a good question. Okay, I'm gonna fix that right now because this will bother me. I'm not a fan. Is that a coincidence? Hello there, Polrentine. Welcome back. I see. I probably just missed this, actually. Okay, let me get the shadow color then. That is probably why you are not pink. Okay. Now then, where was I? There we go. Much better. Just spotting some small errors. I have almost finished off the balcony. So just kind of touching some things up. And then I intend to add a little pattern to the handrail that she's holding. And then it'll be lighting time. And then it'll be done. Looking at the time, 50-50, I'm able to totally finish the whole thing today. I was not in a rush today. Today was a day of relaxing while drawing. Gonna start with this bottom part here. I get the feeling I'm gonna have to do a little bit on the top too. But yeah, when I was sizing things and putting them in place, it just got a little bit too blurry. Just a little. Okay. Some of this might end up being blurred in the end anyway, but I want to be able to control it, and it does not take that long to just touch it up a little. It doesn't even have to be perfect. I just thought it looked really ugly. So I wanted to fix it up. The pattern on the railing is not going to be super special, so I don't expect it to take very long. It's going to be a simple little thing. And she's covering up most of it, so it's not like I even have to worry about straight line hell. It'll be great. Okay, and yeah, this one is still a little bit too blurry, but I think this one is fine. So, one more after this one. And that'll be it for the touch-ups here. Then I can finish off the railing. Oh, what's going on here? Okay, no, I see it. Okay. I was just confused for a moment, but no, all is well. All is well. Okay. I think that does it. All right, cool. So there we go. Fixed all that. Do I need to fix their little feet, actually? No, I think the little feet look fine. Okay, cool. All right. So with that, the top of the railing here. So for over here, I think I can just use the line tool, which is convenient. And you know what? I'm glad I saved my little star, because I want to use that again. I have a plan. So this is going to be a super skinny little line over here. Is 7 going to be enough? Maybe a little bit bigger than that. And I think I can just use a straight line here. Yeah, no problem. Looks great. I'm thinking about what I want to do. I'm thinking about how this actually looks in my head. Okay. And then over here, the lines are going to get a little thicker. And will keep getting thicker as it gets closer to the viewer. So this should make it look nice and in perspective. Okay. Yeah, no spots that I'm missing. So what I think I'm going to do, I am just going to add a tiny little pattern here. And there is just going to be this, you know what? I will even draw it separately so I can just copy and paste it nicely. I'll go put it with my other things over there. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make this tiny little teardrop. I say tiny, I'm drawing it big right now, so that this way I can safely copy and paste it everywhere. But the teardrop is like the symbol of the Seraphines, and that's her faction within the universe that this VTuber group takes place in. So I want to have this little teardrop here, and then a little star. There we go. I think that looks pretty good. So that will be my stencil. I will not touch it. And I will take the other one up to the railing. And size it here. And this will determine what it looks like from here. So I think just right here. And all of these are going to be the same size. They're going to be roughly centered. And I'll just, go from there. That's why I said the pattern here was going to be super easy, but it'll elevate the way this thing looks a lot. It will do such a surprising amount. Okay, Leia needs to hide for a moment because I don't know if the next teardrop will show or not. It does not. Okay. I can tell based on where the line is because I drew the line in all the relevant places. So I know... Oh no, I don't know actually. I don't. Okay. The reason I don't know is because a part of this kind of sticks out past her hand. So I want to make sure that it doesn't show. And if it doesn't show, then I can just... No. It does not. Okay. So nothing else from there will show. I'm going to take my original stencil here and duplicate it. Because now I need it to be bigger. Because now we're going into the part that's moving toward the viewer. That is why I made it a little bit big. Where did it go? Oh, it's invisible. That's why I can't see it. That makes sense. Yes. So I want it to be about the same size, which will make, its actual pixel size larger since it is closer. Okay, and I need Leia to go away for a second here while I figure out where all these little teardrops should go. So I think something like this will work. Okay. Yep, that looks pretty good. And then I have a little star template. And these I think I'm going to merge together because otherwise it will drive me nuts and I am not concerned about them. This is so dead simple that I don't really feel the need to keep all the copies. The railings are a bit more complicated, so I wanted to keep little copies. Okay. Tiny star time. I just wanted to put a tiny star in between them. So it's going to go in the middle and then roughly where the column starts. And that'll be how that works. And I think I can just merge these three together at least and move those around to the other ones instead of drawing it freehand every time. Yeah. No problem. Okay, there we go. And look how much nicer it looks with just that extra tiny bit of detail. Like, I love doing patterns. I do. I really. That's why sometimes I can get really fixated on them, and I can just spend forever drawing architecture and stuff. It is perhaps not always healthy, but you know, if you're like me and don't mind spending 3 months on a picture, it's okay. It can be a good time. I had to restrain myself so hard when I was drawing this week's painting for shorts, because oh my god, I just wanted to go through and add even more little things, but I'm like, it's Friday. You would upload this tomorrow. Stop it. You can keep it simple. It's okay. But there we go. Pattern on the railing's done. Let's go and add the shadows. Okay, so all this is basically wrong now, so I'm gonna kill it, and I'm gonna redraw it from scratch. So I want everything that is not right on the edge to be in shadow here. Actually, this I think will be easier to do with the line tool. I am learning. There. Okay. A thought has occurred to me. I'm gonna see if I can get away with drawing this once, at least for these background ones, and copy and pasting it around. I think I can do that. I think I can. Yeah. Because they're all identical. Completely identical. So this is where, you know, me trying to think about speed is useful. This is how I see art improvement in general, of just, yeah, keep what your weaknesses are in mind, and the thing that you want to improve most in the back of your head with every drawing you do. And as long as you're doing that, and you're thinking through your process, it might just come up. It might come up, and then you can try to implement it, if you want. So that's what I'm gonna do here. I'm going to try to implement this and just speed things up a little. And I am just gonna copy and paste it all instead, or at least as many times as I can, instead of drawing each shadow individually like I was initially intending. And I think I'll do the same for the light, at least for these columns here. The ones in the foreground, I can't really do that, because they are not identical. But you know, let's use that copy and paste where it makes sense to do so. Sounds good to me. Yeah, the number one area I want to improve in is my speed. I want to draw faster so I can draw more things. And thus, I will keep the speed in mind with everything I do. With every little thing I do. Okay. There we go. I think that looks good. I'm gonna zoom out and check it. Yeah, looks good to me. So now, let's copy and paste this. So it's gonna look a little weird for a second, but it's okay. It'll get fixed once I merge it. Okay. And maybe I'll need to touch things up, but I don't think so. I think this looks pretty alright. Heck yeah. And there we go. Now everything looks fine. And now I just gotta get the rest of them. It's fine. Actually, this one I think I'm gonna put a little bit more in the dark just to make Leia stand out a bit more. Let's zoom in. I'm not gonna... I already know how these columns need to be lit, so I can just zoom in and get that right the first time. Ooh, this is gonna look so good once I finish it. I am so excited. Once again, even where it doesn't necessarily make sense, I want to get this one more in the dark. Just so it contrasts with Leia a little bit more. As always. Looking cool and looking good. Way more important than looking accurate when it comes to, at least, my style. If you're drawing realism, that may not be true. Like, straight up realism. But, short of that, nah, you can be cool. You can be super cool. And just do what looks good. And it'll be great. I'm actually trying to get more away from, well, this is how it would work in real life, because I'm not drawing real life. I am drawing an anime, and I am drawing my own unique universe. This is another thing I think about a lot when it comes to the direction that I want to be pushing my art. I think about it. Because I think it'll make things a lot better when I can fully embrace it. And think about how every little thing should be constructed, as opposed to, well, this is just how this works, so there you go. Not to say that real life can't be used for inspiration, of course. After all, if I'm trying to draw something that looks like something, the only way to do that is to think about what it actually looks like. But I do want to focus on the impressions more than the exact details now. That is my hope for the future of my many art styles. At least some of them. Okay. I think the light on this is going to be real simple, the light layer. So you know what? I think I might just finish the balcony today. That'd be awesome. And I spent like the first 40 minutes derping around with the lace pattern on the curtains. So that makes me happy. The speed is coming. It's always nice to see your efforts paying off. Okay, so I'm just gonna put in some dark spots here surrounding her. Just so this way she stands out a little bit more. And then I'll go back and finish the rest of the columns and stuff. Yeah, there we go. Let's really push Leia forward. Make her just that much more important. Visually. Let's see here. I think I can use some selections here to make this a little bit easier. Because I specifically want to put some dark spots in a specific spot on one of these railings. Yeah, it's this one. I don't want to overlap with the other one, but I want this part to be totally in the dark because it's overlapping the previous railing. So any place where they overlap, I'm going to put completely in shadow. Because the sun won't shine through it quite as clearly. Whereas otherwise, around the edges, I'm going to keep it a little bit more open, a little bit more lit. And that'll show the light kind of shining through things. And I think that looks cool. I like it a lot. I do. I like it a lot. Okay, I'm gonna go back and finish these other columns before I keep moving forward. Okay, and then after all of this, it'll be time to do the cast shadow from the railing bits. And the way I had that in my draft, I thought looked really cool. So I'm just gonna do the same thing. It's gonna be great. Very excited for it. And the light on this is going to be incredibly simple. So even with a little bit more than 15 minutes, I bet I can finish it. I think I can. This is going to be the last really big bit of atmosphere, so... You know, after this, it's really just the stuff really far off in the background that still needs to be done. It's exciting. Because I think that it means that this illustration will be done soon. You know, in true fashion, no, much like that nice scene that I did with Pippa in the snow. Once I finish the girl, once I finish the main focal point, everything else comes pretty quickly. Because everything else is just comparatively so simple. And I just don't put quite as much detail on it. And I think it works really well and that it looks really nice. Alright, so I'm just cleaning up a few of the shadows here because I just thought that they were a bit blobby. Here we go. We got, like, just this one, and I think, like, nearly all of this is going to go in shadow. Like, right here's not. Right there is not. But everything else will. Actually, you know what? I think I'm just going to simplify it further and put literally everything in shadow over here. I don't want it to stand out. There we go. Okay. So, let's see, I'm going to kind of measure where the light is hitting things. So I think, like, here, for example, it'll pull the shadow of the column like this. And I'll get all of the finer details after I get these shapes in. It'll make it easier to draw. And it's going to kind of skew sideways more and more as it continues. Oh man, I hear my kids giggling up a storm upstairs. It's so cute. Like they're probably playing with their grandpa. Sounds so happy. I love it when they sound so happy. Best feeling. Okay. So anyway, I'm trying to get the stairs in here. And once again, I kind of want to get that before I get in the rest of the details. And I'm going to start with all the ones out here before I do the ones in the foreground. I think the ones in the foreground are going to be pretty dang straightforward. All right. Oh, man. Looks so good. I love shadows like this. I think they're so pretty. I think it just looks gorgeous. And it's so easy to do. I mean, look how simple this is. Just a little bit of light. And really paying attention to the shadows. Okay, Leia needs to hide for a little bit. So this way I know where to plop down the shadows for these guys. Let's see. So it's gonna be like this. And then we get one kind of like this. And I'm gonna color this in very messily because I'm not sure how much of this will show. But I do want to color it in so this way I know, and when I turn Leia back on, I will be able to figure out which of these areas I need to care about and which areas will not be shown. You can see that they're starting to kind of not match the angle that some other things are, and here I think is actually where they start turning around. So over here, they're going to start kind of turning this way. Yeah, so I think actually that just this entire floor is shadow. So there we go. And now I know which ones I need to touch up. Yeah, it looks great. And it keeps things nice and dark so that the emphasis is on Leia, who looks like she's glowing. Let's see. I think this shadow color is actually a little bit dark, though. I kind of want to lighten it up just a little here. The contrast, I think, is just a little bit too strong. And that will also take things away from Leia, having too much contrast. Okay. But there we go. Now, I just gotta color it all in. Like, just for the stairs and all that stuff. And this one, I'm actually gonna put right up next to her. Even though it is not what I initially drew. I think it'll add some nice contrast to her. Okay. And now I can start thinking about the various shapes on the columns. I'm not going to make it very detailed. I just kind of want to imply them. Just to kind of make it clear just how long these shadows are. How far away this light source is. Just a small thing that I think will make it look just a little bit nicer. Okay. And then I just touch these guys up a little. And I think that's it for the shadows. So now I can put in the light. And once again, I think I'm just going to clear everything I have, just because the columns moved around so much that I don't think anything is really accurate anymore. And I just want to focus on the areas that got hit by light the most. So that'll be the top of the railing here. And over here. And then a little bit around the rims here. So once again, I think I'm going to copy and paste what I did. After I fully... Actually, you know what? I shouldn't do that one then. I should do this one. But after I fully touch this up, I will copy and paste this around, and then I'll go worry about the rest. And we'll put just a little bit of light through the columns here, because I think that kind of thing looks really nice. I don't want it to hit the underside of the railing. Like, the light does technically hit there, but it's not the brightest of lights. This is strictly for the absolute brightest of lights. Okay. Yeah, and you can see I'm letting it overlap the shadow area because it kind of makes this nice pink color that I think separates the light and the shadows really nicely, and I think it looks cool. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna leave the cool looking thing in. I don't care if it's accurate or not. I think it actually is in this case, but you know, it doesn't matter. It looks cool, so it lives. Yes. A little bit more up on this top part here. The very top of each of these little columns. Once again, there's not going to be anything out on this side, because even though that side does hit the light, it doesn't directly face the light. So it does not get the brightest of the lights. It just gets no shadow. And that's the difference. Okay, and I think that looks pretty good, so let's go ahead and copy this over to all the other ones. That'll save me a lot of time, so I appreciate that. Oops, that's right. I don't want to duplicate all of it, just a piece. I'll just send it on over. Okay. I was hitting the arrow keys with the same hand that I was holding the pen in, and it was confusing things. So I had to move the pen away. It's all good though. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I think that's all in the right place, and now I just do a similar thing over here. Where we just let the side that is directly facing the light be just a little bit brighter. And even though I very deliberately put shadows over there, I still think it makes sense to light it like this. I'm gonna roughly brush it in for now. I'll clean it up once I have everything kind of the way I want it. I want to verify that my ideas here are correct, because I don't have 100% confidence right now. only maybe like 80. I'm feeling pretty good about what I'm doing, but, you know, it's still good to verify. Okay. This will separate some of the columns a little bit back here, the ones that got just plopped down in shadow. I'm gonna leave their feet unshadowed, though. The tops too, I think. Okay, and I think that should be good. And then from there, I have like these little front parts here. Before everything kind of gets hit by the columns. That I think will look good with a little bit more light. So just right there, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. This is like the last of the major atmosphere, so I am happy. Alright, let's go clean that up real quick. Got 3 minutes. I might be a little bit over time, but, you know, it won't be more than a minute or two. I want to finish it. I do. Okay. Now for over here, I want to be careful, so I'm going to start using selections again. This is why I kept them all separated, by the way, because I knew this day would come, and I would be so happy that I had all of these separated out. Okay, here we go. Because now I can paint the light on the side here without overlapping into the shadow areas on the neighboring column. And that is going to make this part a lot easier. So I'm going to go clear the parts that are overlapping where they shouldn't, and then I can select the proper column. Once I find it, there it is. And I just casually paint over. And all is well. And it was nice and easy. I actually do think that learning how to use the tool just a little bit better will speed me up too. Oh, No, I'm in the right area. G, right? Yeah, there we go. There we go. I'm not going to go all the way to the bottom. I don't think I need to for these ones. All right, almost there. Got like one more to do. Then we'll be good, and it'll be great. And then I can get into just the last bit of background stuff next time. So that'll be the mountains, the clouds, possibly the planet, depending on how long the rest of it takes. We're gonna take our first steps towards outer space, finally! After how many ever episodes it's been. We're finally gonna go out and start drawing some space. Even though it was the thing that I've been looking forward to drawing the whole time, you know? It was like when I was drawing Rooney Roos. And I just wanted to draw this castle, but it was not time. I had to finish everything else further forward first. I had to make sure that the picture was ready for it. It was the same here, but soon it will be time. So there we go. That is a finished balcony. I think it looks pretty good. Very atmospheric with everything, and I still think that it is nicely minimized and pushing her very far forward. And if anything, the way that I have the cloud structured here makes the overlapping pink from the highlight on the railing kind of blend in with that, and I think that's perfect. Like if this was a subject that I wanted to bring further forward, that would be a bad thing. Although, actually, no, there's one thing I want to touch up. Those tear shapes. I think I want them to not have as much light. So you know what? I'm just going to touch that up real quick. And we're just going to put a tiny highlight coming out here. This way it looks like it's carved into the railing here. So, okay, one last little thing, and then I'll have to call it, but... Okay, next time, I gotta get to draw stuff in space, and I am so excited. I just talk about little compositional stuff, and, you know, the pink match of the clouds there, and I think that does look quite good. I'm not quite sure if Leia stands out enough yet. I might have to do some things to kind of fix that. But, you know, that'll still be for next time, and I'll see how it feels. Okay. So there we go. Alright. Yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and stop there. I think that this is looking excellent. I am quite happy with it. Next time, it'll be time for space. So, thank you all for coming, and I hope you're able to make something wonderful today. I will see you all tomorrow for more BB Biscuit. I think I'm actually pretty close to finishing that one too. And see you later, Polarantine. I hope you have a nice day.